Ladies and gentlemen, I give you The Accused.
ドルーブラクダワラ所持ポイント91点2度目の受肉和国大乱にて単独での列島制圧を成し遂げた宿老自立型の2種の式神その式神の奇跡を自らの領域とする石氷龍所持ポイント77点プレイヤー1の呪力出力を誇る大砲うろたか子所持ポイント70点元当主直属暗殺部隊実月精神体隊長空を操る術式を持つ黒漆所持ポイント54点賢弱が呪霊操術のコントロールから外したゴキブリ呪霊等級は特級登録済み導入条件の消失まで休眠中
So, JDs and Lenselmen of the jury, let's go down the list and see which of these candidates most perfectly fits the description of our culprit, and which of these candidates is truly
dismantled.
The case for Yuta being a fraud is actually pretty strong. He's hyped up as being the strongest in the series, second only to Gojo, but he's shown to also be afraid of Yuji having a normal-ass knife. By the way, he also, lobbied for this moment not to be shown by the animators, so that's why this is a manga-only thing. Not to mention, he wasn't able to beat Sukuna in his own domain when Sukuna was already weakened and missing limbs. But let's think a little bit more about this. In the words of the great Benoit Blanc, what did we actually see? The truth is, Yuta has never lost a fight on screen with the sole exception of Sukuna. Sure, he struggled, but he defeated an adult Geto, multiple special grades at once, has 5 minutes of infinite cursed energy with Rika, and is able to use any cursed technique in the verse in his domain. Given, one of these victories was bush camping, and he does find himself completely out of his depth when he's in Gojo's body. But not anyone could have walked in after the Takaba fight and killed Kenjaku. Yuta's probably one of the only people quick enough and powerful enough to actually pull it off. Just look at this panel. Who else has that speed? Guys, come on. Kenjaku is exactly the same as him. He has less fights. He has 2 fights in the series, and then he bush camps Mahito. And Yuta has three and a half great fights at least, and he is called a bum. Make it make sense. Not to mention the fight with Sukuna isn't even really one he lost. If you actually read the manga, you would know that the plan here was just to be able to make contact with Megumi, not kill Sukuna outright. Because they were just trying to get Yuji in contact with Megumi, they ended up forcing themselves to be left open to Sukuna's world-cutting slash. So technically, they accomplished the plan, and guess what? Megumi fucking sold. So now apparently that's Yuta's fault. What? So now apparently that's Yuta's fault. What? Is that good? Look, man, I did what you asked. Now pay me, okay? Come on, I don't do this for free. Look, man, I don't want to use my real life replica 6 foot long Bloodhound's Fang 3D print Elden Ring curved greatsword. But I will if you don't honor our deal. That's what I thought. I just wanted an excuse to show this off. Look at this thing.
Evan, you're a grown adult playing with toys. Shut up, Mom. Hurry up and make me dinner.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
What I just played for you is an official quote from the person that made the original Potential Man slander post. This guy opened Pandora's box, and ever since, not one person on Earth has been brave enough to stand up and say, I am a Megumi fan. Because if so, they will be drawn pregnant in a homosexual relationship. The Megumi slander primarily stems from one single haunting word. If. Megumi has the potential to rival Gojo. He has the potential to tame Maharaga. He has the potential to get a job, but he thinks his YouTube career will save him from that. Sorry, I was projecting. My point is, Megumi has been shown to have relatively mid-level on-screen feats, while being hyped up as far stronger by other characters. And you can hate me for what I'm about to say here, but I think what they have to say is kind of warranted. Yeah, I said it. I think Megumi's potential is actually important. If we look at what Megumi's technique actually is, we see that Mahoraga is one of the most busted characters in the verse and is theoretically unkillable given enough time in battle. This is why he constantly tries using him to defeat opponents that are relatively weak in comparison, and it's often like a comical amount of overkill. Like, dude, how do you expect people to defend you when you're summoning him against fucking Haruta? I understand Megumi was on like his last legs here and he was probably about to die, but like, bro, just accept your fate. Don't do it, man.
Don't do it, bro.
The real issue is that Megumi doesn't have control of Mahoraga and would be killed himself whenever he summons him. But let's not pretend that Megumi doesn't have more to him than just Mahoraga. After Gojo tells him that he needs to lock in and stop assuming that no matter what he can just kill himself and use Mahoraga to kill his opponent, and he actually needs to survive the fight to become stronger, he focuses more on using his current Shikigami to misdirect and overwhelm his opponent instead of sending them at them one at a time and relying on them to do damage for him. He like attacks with his Shikigami in the fight. Like you can see in the fight when it was just him against like three-finger Sukuna or whatever. All he does is summon like his Shikigami and then he doesn't like try and fight Sukuna as well. Versus the fight against Reggie where he's primarily fighting on his own and only really using the Shikigami for like certain like situations. He also unlocks an incomplete domain, which is shown to be still fairly weak and unable to give him the guaranteed hit effect, but a huge boost to his strength nonetheless. Not to mention, he watched as he was helplessly taken over and his own body and techniques were used to kill his sister, his friend, and his own father. Like, guys, Gojo's pretty much his dad. Like, come on. Let's not pretend that Megumi wasn't in like complete agony from watching his sister die and then being forced to literally be the hand that kills his own father and have a front row seat to like watching it happen. Like, that's fucking nuts. This guy has like every reason to give up on life. But even then, eventually he like locks in and he helps them defeat Sukuna and he gets his body back. So Megumi, like, yeah, yes, he has potential and people constantly talk about them like when they're talking about him. But he is still a strong character in his own right and we can't just pretend like just because his potential is way higher than what he's capable of and really he's probably never going to reach that potential, we shouldn't act like he's like weak because of it. We should also remember that he's still a kid, so potential is kind of like all he has. He needs time to like experience what it's like to be in fights and mature as a sorcerer to actually rise up to that potential. But let's take a look at someone who's fairly similar to Megumi, but given allegations of something far more difficult to disprove than just potential. Ryomen Sukuna. Ooh, that name, it just gives you shivers, you know? Or, alternatively, if your name is Gege Akutami, it gives you a full erection. Because this guy can literally not stop giving him plot armor. Hit him with an attack that lets you connect with your friend he's possessing so you can save him. Wrong! Your friend would actually rather himself than help you. Hit him with an attack designed to literally rip his soul from the body he's inhabiting. Wrong! It's called Jacob's Ladder, and technically that means he can climb it. Fully defeated him in the greatest performance of your life where you had to fight a 1v3 and the narrator even says you won. Wrong! Wrong. However, ladies and gentlemen, I think we may be looking at this fight wrong. I think, and trigger warning here, we might have to use our reading comprehension skills for this. Sukuna is meant to be the big bad villain of the entire series, and it's not like we haven't known about this since the very first episode of the anime is literally named after him. Not to mention, he's shown from the start to have by far the most intimidating and daunting presence of any character, with the sole exception of Satoru Gojo, of course. These two are built up to be equally matched, but there are hints scattered around that there's more to Sukuna than just him being really strong. Sukuna is unique in his ability to adapt to change and his unyielding and violent nature. He's shown to be willing to sacrifice literally anything and do literally anything so long as it serves him and allows him to grow stronger. The only reason he even possesses Megumi's body is to grow as a sorcerer, to deepen his already ridiculous level of understanding of cursed energy. Otherwise, he probably would have just stayed with Yuji because he was kind of designed to be the perfect vessel for him. Like, he doesn't have like any values other than increasing his strength and pleasing himself. Once that's done, he'll probably just go back to running him and Urame's family diner where they serve human burgers. I don't know how good they taste. I don't know how human meat tastes. might be a successful restaurant. I never tried it. I might try it. You know, maybe a little bite out of curiosity. No cravings or anything like that. But Sukuna, thanks to his personality, is constantly seeking out battle. Basically all he's ever doing when he's on screen. Either he's in a fight, he's instigating a fight, or he's psychologically abusing or manipulating someone to get them into a fight. Like, literally all he ever does is, like, cause pain. So if he's so strong and he's so dangerous, then why does he need Mahoraga to kill Gojo? How is he talked about as being so strong, and yet it seems like most of his greatest feats are using someone else's technique or copying someone else's style? Well, the answer is pretty obvious, actually. It's his versatility. In JJK, it's implied and stated that the title of the strongest doesn't just mean the greatest cursed energy output or the best curse technique. Being the strongest means that no matter what situation you find yourself in, whether it be a 1v3 or a third party after being completely exhausted, no matter what happens, you will be the last one standing. When we look at Sukuna, it's easy to just see him fight and say, oh, he has plot armor, he would be nothing without 10 shadows and should have lost to Gojo. But is that actually true? I mean, we literally see in the fight, Mahoraga is never close to killing Gojo. Even in a 1v3, Gojo is never in any danger from anyone except Sukuna. Really, it's like a 1v2 because Agito is such a pushover. Until Mahoraga is able to perform a slash that cuts through Gojo's infinity by targeting the space he inhabits. It's like if you're looking at a graph that goes on for infinity before touching a point, Mahoraga decided instead of just trying to find numbers that get closer and closer, hopefully eventually touching infinity somehow, he ripped the graph in half. If the paper the graph is drawn on is destroyed, doesn't really matter what the graph says. That's what Sukuna couldn't figure out, and that's what he used Mahoraga to do. And after that, he uses a binding vow to restrict himself from ever doing that move with less than 3 hands and a whole ass speech again by trading it for one gigantic ambush attack that Gojo couldn't have seen coming because, and I can't stress this enough, he didn't even know it was possible. It's like if you're fighting a guy with a gun and his dog, and then you kill the guy, and then the dog somehow miraculously grows hands, picks up the gun, 360 no-scopes you with a headshot, and you die. Not exactly fair. Mahoraga used world-cutting slash once earlier, but Gojo thought that since Mahoraga was dead, it wasn't a danger anymore. But because of Sukuna's ability to learn curse techniques on the fly, and his goal of not just winning the fight but maturing as a sorcerer, he was able to understand how to beat Gojo. Sukuna isn't just trying to kill people, he's using every fight as a learning opportunity to become even more unstoppable. His intelligence is of another level, and no matter what you do, his problem solving and adaptability will find a way to dismantle, no pun intended, any defense you think will save you from him. He's truly the strongest, and even though I personally think Gojo has a stronger curse technique than him, I can admit that no one comes close to Sukuna when it comes to bending the rules of Jujutsu to his will. Like, this guy is pulling off stuff that we didn't even think was possible. Open barrier domain, world cutting slash. I'd like to imagine that in the Heian era, Sukuna was strong at first, but things like an open domain and understanding reverse curse technique were moments of an awakening for him. Perhaps when fighting an extremely strong opponent where his own skill and cursed energy pools couldn't cut it on their own. Or their domain was stronger than his, so he needed to find a way to destroy it from the outside, and decided that as far as he was concerned, the entire battlefield and everything in it is his domain. But as much as we'd like to see that, Gege is allergic to world building, so we're gonna have to settle for headcanon for now. Hey, don't stop watching. Wake up. Wake up. We just have one more guy to talk about. And of all the ones I think we've talked about, his accusations of being a fraud may be the hardest to disprove yet. And I think this next defendant might just shock you. See, because it's Kashimo. Hey, don't click off the video. Hey, that's not cool. Kashimo is one of the strongest in the verse, and described as the strongest of his own era. Fans of Kashimo like to pretend he's top 3 in the verse, and some even think he was stronger than Gojo because of his ability to make Sukuna turn to his Heian era form. People will defend Kashimo like he's Tim Duncan in his prime, despite him living in an era of literally nothing but farmers, and every feat he has is a loss. He loses to Hikari, a grade 1 sorcerer, mind you, because he gets thrown in the ocean and loses all his cursed energy. And then he lasts for like, what, 1 chapter against Sukuna before getting turned into fucking Jenga blocks. Dude, this guy is some level of overglazed. Sukuna didn't change to his Heian era form because of how strong Kashimo is. He changed forms because it was an instant full heal for him and it recovered his curse technique. Yes, Kashimo hit him hard. But this is like people acting like King from One Punch Man killed the monster. Gojo was putting in work, and he almost defeated and killed Sukuna. And people are acting like Kashimo. He came in when he's on 10% health, hits him with a buffed ult attack, and then people are acting like he's like the fucking strongest in the verse. What? The attack doesn't even kill him, and people are acting like he belongs in the top 3. This motherfucker doesn't even have a domain. If you're a Kashimo glazer, you are delusional and you know it. Yes, Kashimo is strong. Yes, his speed is remarkable. But do not sit here and pretend that he is even close to being in the same tier as Gojo, Sukuna, Kenjaku, Yuta, or even fucking Yuki. Kashimo is maybe mid-tier special grade with his curse technique active. But even then, he's like a gimmick fighter. He has one good fight that he can do before he like dies. He's never meant to be the strongest. However, I don't want to act like Kashimo is a complete bum, because he's not, despite how it may seem I feel. The real reason Kashimo holds back and doesn't use his curse technique is because he can only use it one time. Kashimo could have defeated Hikari and most likely would have if he used his curse technique before he was thrown in the ocean. Not to mention he was able to rack up 100 points during the culling game without even using a curse technique, and judging by his attitude about fighting the strongest, he was probably mainly going for strong opponents. Kashimo's curse technique is also nothing to scoff at. Even though he can only use it one time, it increases his strength, speed, cursed energy output, and durability multiple times over. This cannot be understated, as it does show to be fast enough at the very least to outspeed a Heian era Sukuna at one point, for a brief period. I really do think it's kind of a shame this fight is so short, because Kashimo was really hyped up to be this kind of a sleeper, and then the fight's over in like one page. Like, it's kind of disappointing. I don't blame Kashimo fans for being delusional. I'd be having mental psychosis too if my favorite character had that happen to them. But the fact he doesn't have a domain or reverse curse technique is just too much for me to say that he belongs anywhere near the top 5 list. Not to mention the fact that his technique is like pretty much just based on cursed energy output. He'd probably be in a deadlock with Jane and Juliet over there in Sendai Colony if he ended up there, who like get completely neg-diffed and like speed blitzed by Sukuna. So I mean, the same happens to Kashimo. It's not like he's any different. So I don't necessarily think he's a fraud. I think it's more the same thing as Megumi, where he's extremely overhyped despite being like kind of a mid-tier fighter. He is strong. I'm not going to pretend he's not. He's a very strong fighter. He probably beats like 99% of the verse. But the truth is that there are levels to this, and Kashimo is at the very top, the level just before the top. So now that we have our 4 contenders, we're nearing the final stretch of our trial, and who is the biggest fraud in all of Jujutsu Kaisen? Alright, well, I've got the letter here. It says says who our winner's gonna be, so without further ado, the greatest fraud in all of Jujutsu Kaisen is... there seems to be some kind of mistake. Okay, this must be the wrong envelope. No. Okay, that's weird. Well, our answer, the winner is JJK fans. Not entirely sure what to make of this. Wait. Of course it was us. How could I have glossed over this? It's so obvious. Every one of these sorcerers might be hated, overhyped, overglazed, or just plain frustrating, sure, but none of them are outright fraudulent. It's us that cast judgment on these fictional characters because they don't do what satisfies us as the consumer that are the truest of frauds. We've known this since the beginning. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's everywhere. We're LARPers. We're all LARPers. Even those who use the term LARPers have themselves become LARPers because the word doesn't even stand for being a fraud. It means live action roleplay. It's for people that dress up in fucking Civil War outfits and act like they're in the 1800s shooting each other. How could I have missed something staring me in the face like this? My delusion. It's exhilarating. I really am. I truly am. A fraud! Yes, all of us, every single one of us is a fraud. Because we are pretending to be fans of Jujutsu Kaisen while missing the entire point of what these fights are about. It isn't about the combat, it's not about the curse techniques. The real reason that strong characters win their fights is 2 things that people don't even use in their rankings. They win because they use their brain to come up with a solution to the fight and a plan to outwit and outmaneuver their opponent, and because they never give up. Think about it. The characters that win their fights don't win just because they have a strong ability. They win because they use their experience and combat IQ to not defeat their opponent in some battle of strength, but by making educated gambles and structured trades and damage that are designed to set their opponent up for an opening to be damaged. A fight isn't just throwing punches and using sorcery, it's misdirection and manipulation. Sukuna beat Gojo because he used a weapon Gojo didn't even know existed. Kenjaku beat Choso and Yuki because he had an ability they didn't even know about. Yuta beat Sendai because he didn't reveal too much information about his curse technique unnecessarily. It's why explaining your curse technique, though it may actually be a buff to your ability, is truly a detriment to your ability to win a fight. Deception is victory, and as the strongest sorcerers in the verse have shown us, the element of surprise and an unyielding will to win are the truest attributes of the strongest. Nah, I'm just messing with you, it is Megumi.
We're waiting every night to finally roam and invite newcomers to play with us. For many years we've been all alone.